Hey YouTube, it's me again with part 4 of my video series regarding Canaan. For part 4 of this series, I will be discussing the curses surrounding Canaan and his descendants. In my previous video, we came to find out that Canaan and his descendants came under a curse when they stole land from their uncle Shem. However, there is another curse that I did not get the chance to go over. You can read about it in Genesis chapter 9, verses 20 through 27. And for the sake of time, I will not be reading the entire passage. You guys could do that yourselves. But I will be giving a brief overview as to what took place. Now, when reading this passage, one of the things you'll come to find out is that Ham committed some kind of act that brought a curse upon his youngest son Canaan. There are some that like to say that Ham was the one who got cursed, but Scripture is clear that it was Canaan who got cursed, not his father Ham. So you gotta ask yourself, why did Noah curse Canaan when it was Ham who had committed the act? And why was Noah so angry with Ham? What did he do? The passage mentions that Noah was angry when he found out what his youngest son had done to him. The frequently mentioned possibilities for what happened is that Ham committed some kind of homosexual act, or that he made fun of Noah while he laid naked, drunk, and passed out. However, any theories of what occurred is speculation, and whatever one speculates took place between Ham and Noah, it's Ham's son Canaan who got the curse, yet Canaan is nowhere mentioned as having done anything. The Bible does not clearly answer these questions, but the secret is very much contained throughout the passages of the Old Testament. In order for you to understand why it is that Noah cursed Canaan instead of Ham, you must put the pieces of the puzzle together properly, or else you will be left with all kinds of questions, theories, and speculations as to what exactly took place. Now, out of respect for Noah, I will not be disclosing what it is that Ham did that got Noah so upset, but I could assure you it did not involve any kind of homosexual act on Ham or Noah's part, and definitely Ham was not making fun of his father Noah. If you want to know what went down, you're gonna have to personal message me for this one. I will be more than glad to let you in on it. If I do not give you the answer right away, I will clue you in. With that being said, let's now take a look at Canaan's second curse, which you could read about in Jubilees chapter 9, verses 14 and 15. It speaks about Noah dividing the earth into portions for each one of his 3 sons and their descendants. It also says that Noah bound them all by an oath, imprecating a curse on any one of his sons or their descendants that sought to take land that was not given to them. It also says that they all agreed upon it and went their ways. If you read Jubilees chapter 10, in particular verses 28 through 34, you come to find out that Canaan was given as his portion the land of West Africa. However, Canaan settled in Shem's land instead because of its richness and fertility. His father Ham and brothers Mizraim and Cush warned him about settling in Shem's land, but he ignored them. Ham cursed Canaan for not taking his portion of land assigned to him and instead usurping a small portion of Shem's inheritance. This curse was not fulfilled until God handed the Canaanites over to Abraham and his descendants, the Israelites. So Canaan had a double curse upon him, not only for what his father did, but also for what he did. Now, reading this passage about Ham having discourse with his son Canaan about settling in Palestine instead of Western Africa is telling of Ham's character. Ham loved his brothers. When Canaan usurped Palestine from Shem, his father Ham was very upset with him, and rightfully so. Ham is very much worthy of his celestial inheritance, and this passage in the book of Jubilees proves it. Also, verse 34 also lets us know how the land of Israel came to be known as the land of Canaan in the first place. That is because it was stolen from Shem by the Canaanites. And when you read God's promise to Abraham and his descendants, you come to find out that God is restoring that land that was stolen to its rightful owner back to Abraham and his people. You can read about it in Genesis chapter 15 verses 18 through 21, as well as Genesis chapter 17 and verse 8, Deuteronomy chapter 1 verses 7 and 8. So, it is written throughout a couple of books of the Old Testament. Genesis 17 and verse 8. This is God speaking. It says, I am also giving this land where you are living, all of Canaan, to you and your descendants, as your permanent possession, and I will be your God. So, here is God intervening to restore the land that was stolen from Abraham's descendants, from his forefathers, I should say. And God intervened and drove the Canaanites back to their rightful place, which is the parts of Western Africa. Some of them were destroyed, not all of them, some of them were, but most of them made it back to their original dwelling place in West Africa. Because you have some people wondering, why did God give the land of Canaan to the Israelites when Canaan was there in the first place? Well, that is because they took that land that did not belong to them in the first place. So, if you do not read the book of Jubilees, you will not understand how it is that the Canaanites came to inhabit the land of Israel before the Israelites got a chance to possess all of that land. It was also being inhabited by some of the enemies of Israel, whom the Canaanites joined league with, which goes to show you the loyalty of the Canaanites. And for those of you wondering, what's the validity of the book of Jubilees? Well, if you read Jubilees chapter 49, you come to find out that it quotes the books of Exodus, Ezekiel, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy of the Canaan Bible. This is in regards to the Passover. These scriptures that you see here are very much in line with what is being written and mentioned in Jubilees chapter 49. So these books of the Canaan Bible are giving credence to the book of Jubilees, to be considered at the very least an apocryphal or pseudepigraphal book. So for those of you trying to discredit this book, I'll leave this up to you guys for homework to look into these passages that you see here and compare them to what is being said in Jubilees chapter 49. Because if you're going to dismiss the book of Jubilees and what is being said in particular in chapter 49, then I guess you got to throw out the book of Exodus, Ezekiel, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and you might as well throw out your entire Bible. Because if you're going to question the book of Jubilees, you got to question what is being said in Exodus, Ezekiel, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy in regards to this Passover. So, as it says in 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 1, this is the third time I am coming to you. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall every word be established. What words are being established? What is being said in Jubilees chapter 49? You can find those words established in the book of Exodus, Ezekiel, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy. But don't just take my word for it. Look it up. Prove me wrong. I am very confident that you will not. And I don't say that in a boastful manner. I say that because, as it says in Matthew chapter 18 and verse 16, it says, but if they will not listen, take 1 or 2 others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. What testimony? What witnesses? the testimony of the book of Exodus, Ezekiel, Leviticus, Deuteronomy. Here you have not only 2 or 3 witnesses, but 4. Which confirm the authenticity of the book of Jubilees. They give credence to the book of Jubilees, as well as align with one another. So with that being said, I will end this video for part 4, and I will conclude this video series in part 5 by identifying the descendants of Canaan in the world today. And for those of you wondering, well, what's the deal with this video series on Canaan? Well, one of the reasons I'm making this video series on Canaan and his descendants, it's because you have a group of individuals trying to claim to be somebody they're not. Claiming to be somebody they're not. And I will discuss more on these individuals in part 5 of this video series. So until then, I'll see you guys in my next video. God bless.